What's going on, guys? Andrew Piluk Hockey here, back again with another video. I'm going to be doing a pretty fun video, and it's going to be discussing the Toronto Maple Leafs in free agency. Now, one thing I'd like you guys to do right now is go and subscribe to Downtown Sports. He's a good friend of mine. He posts really good hockey videos, more specifically about the Toronto Maple Leafs. So if you like Toronto Maple Leaf content, make sure to go and subscribe to him. I will put his link as the pinned comment right now. Tons of good videos on the Leafs, so make sure to go and check that out. But I wanted to talk about the Leafs in free agency because I think that a lot of fans around the league and even Leaf fans are not giving the Toronto Maple Leafs enough credit in terms of, okay, their roster is very fixable and they can make that money appear pretty easily by making a few trades. One of them has already happened, turning a third liner in Kasperi Kapanen, who has failed to make it into that top six with the Leafs, turned into a first round pick and a good prospect. And that first round pick is the 15th overall selection. So that's a very good addition, as well as Evan Rodriguez. But whether the Leafs sign him in this video, I'm not going to be discussing him too much, but it's another good asset. Could be a good third or fourth line player if the Leafs do decide to sign him. But the most valuable thing they got is cap space. So basically, an armchair GM, I went in and I made a team for next year, and I discussed the options and the ways that the Leafs can create money, create space for them to go out there and get defensemen, because we all know they need to. So the Leafs have a lot of options. Of course, they're going to have to make decisions on guys like Mikheyev, Jason Spezza, Travis Dermott, but we'll get to that in all of these things right now, because I have a bunch of screenshots, and I'm going to go step by step on how I rebuilt this Maple Leafs team using just free agency. Now, the Leafs could make trades. It's very possible to acquire defensemen or to acquire forwards or to acquire a goaltender. But in this video specifically, I showed how the Leafs could make very good additions with just free agency. So, right off the bat, just wanted to show you guys that with the cap space in terms of, Kasperi Kapanen, the Toronto Maple Leafs, if their roster looked like this, would have $3.3 million. So what I did here was, of course, Mikko Lehtinen, the defenseman that the Leafs got from the KHL, who could be a very good top four option, is in there. Timothy Liljegren and Rasmus Sandin are there. Marinson's the extra. Of course, the goaltenders are the same right now. I brought Korshkov from the minors up. Could be a very good fourth line player. Little physical, can score every once in a while. Barabanov is on the third line, another good KHL addition from Kyle Dubas. And then, of course, Pierre Engvall's there. Nick Robertson's up with the team. Jason Spezza I re-signed at $700,000 for that fourth line. But pretty much everything else is the same. So the Leafs could walk into next year with this team, but obviously none of us want to see that. We want to see some additions. We want to see them make some moves. So this is what I did. So you're going to notice that two spaces are empty right there for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and that cap space is up to $8.7 million. Now, the Leafs could hold on to Justin Holl, but for what I'm going to be doing with this team, I'm going in a little bit of a different direction. So I thought, okay, if the Leafs can make something happen, why not eliminate Justin Holl from this team, even though I think he's pretty good. And then, of course, I've also removed Andreas Johnsson, which the rumors would be, suggesting that he's probably the next guy out there. So $8.7 million is quite a bit of space to make something work. So as you can see there, you see them on the LTIR. They wouldn't be on LTIR. I would just have them, off the team completely. I just was showing you guys, that's the option. Now, you're also going to notice now that the cap space went up to $9.6 million instead of, in the $8 million range. And that's because I removed Timothy Liljegren from that blue line. Now, he could be there instead of Rasmus Sandin. You can make your choice there. You're also going to notice that Travis Dermott is not in the picture either. And we'll get to that. Mikheyev is also not in the picture currently right now. So, $9.6 million, but you have a space on the fourth line available. And you also have two spots on that blue line available. So, this next slide, or picture, screenshot, whatever you want to say, I feel like I'm back at a presentation in school. But you're going to see that I've added a defenseman, and that's Radko Gudas. You could sign him to a $3 or $4 million deal. I think he would probably get in the $3 million range. could be 3.5, regardless with the cap space that's left over. They could give him an extra, $500,000, but I think that you could get him at $3 million. And this year, because of, what's happening out there, if I say the words, they demonetize the video, so I'm going to try to stay away from that. But Radko Gudas could be a good option at $3 million, and I don't know if he would be getting anything higher than that. You could offer him a 4-year deal, and he might be more intrigued, so that longevity's there. It could hurt the Leafs at the end of that deal, but they're trying to win now. Gudas is physical. He probably scares some people on the ice, which I wouldn't be surprised if he does. And he's a solid defenseman that could play on the second or third pair, play on the penalty kill. He would be an upgrade over Justin Holl, in my opinion, just because he brings other elements to the game. And you're spending that extra $1 million to get him out of free agency and to, entice him to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, the next thing I did was sign Demelo. He's not going to put up a ton of points, but that's not what the Leafs need. And also, don't worry about how the Leafs are looking in terms of defensive pairs. You could move that around. Lettinen could be with Sandin. Gudas could be with Riley or Muzzin. It doesn't matter. You could switch all those guys around. But Demelo, $4 million. You could argue that that's an overpayment. He might be getting around 3.8. Some people have said maybe 3.5. I'm just overpaying him because maybe that's what you get him at. $4 million, you offer him 3 or 4 years to entice him. Maybe you front load the contract because, again, teams working with internal cap will not be able to pay their players as much as the Leafs can up front. So I thought that was another really good option. Now your blue line is Muzzin, Lettinen, Riley, Demelo, Sandin, Gudas, and we'll get to it in a second. You might have that depth in terms of Travis Dermott, but you also still have Timothy Liljegren, so that depth is still there, of course. Now, this is how I would use that extra space. So you can see there's only $1.3 million left, but the Leafs are completed. They trade Johnsson, they trade Hall, maybe you get some picks, maybe a prospect, but you just get rid of that cap space. That's the most valuable thing. You can bring Cal Clifford back at $1.2 million, $1.25 million, but just know if the Leafs sign him that they have to give up a second-round selection this year. And it's in the 40s, their pick, so it's a good pick. So, you could use that space and get another guy that's similar to him. Maybe you go a bit cheaper and go for a Wayne Simmons. Could cost you $1 million, could cost you the same amount of money. I think Cal Clifford is a good fit for this team, and I wouldn't mind bringing him back. You're going to notice that there also isn't a Mikheyev there. Instead of an Engvall, you could trade Engvall and bring back Mikheyev. Or you could put Engvall in the minors, or Robertson. Maybe he doesn't impress you that much in the training camp. You could remove him, add Mikheyev. You can do a bunch of different things. Maybe Korshkov goes to the minors. You can move around a lot of pieces, and you're not losing anything. Mikheyev, you might lose. You might. But you're acquiring 2 much better defensemen. You still have a little bit of money left over. And again, if you would rather have Mikheyev than Clifford, or if you'd rather have Mikheyev than Engvall, even though I think Engvall is a little bit more versatile and he played better than him in the playoffs this year. You're clearly Demelo and Gudas are making this better. Lettinen's making this better. You could remove Sandin and put Liljegren there. And also, $1.3 million of cap space left could give you the amount that could keep Travis Dermott, because you could also send Sandin down, and then you would be able to have, just around $2 million, and Dermott is probably going to get 1.5 on a prove yourself deal for 1 year, in my opinion. So I don't know if you guys agree with that this team could work. This is the first time I've done something like this, and it won't be the last. This is just the first team that I came up with, and just trying to show you guys that the Leafs can make moves in free agency. They can make moves without trading a Liljegren or trading a first-round pick. You can acquire things without getting rid of your top 4 players in Tavares, Matthews, Marner, and Nylander. They can make this team better by only losing guys like Justin Holl, Andreas Johnsson, and of course they've already traded Kasperi Kapanen. But the Leafs are able to be in a position where they can have money to use. They can have depth and acquire pieces that can take this team to the next level. You can have that physicality in Clifford and Gudas. You can have that amazing defensive mind in Demelo. You can have a little bit of offense and a mix of that blue line with Mikko Lettinen. And Barabanov is going to be a good addition to that forward group. Korshkov will bring you a little bit of fire. Spezza has more to prove. You've got a bit of everything. And Nick Robertson could be a wild card. What if he comes out and scores 20 or 25 goals as a 19-year-old? You know what I mean? So the Leafs have options. They have a little money, a little bit of money that they can work with, and I think that they're going to be better than people expect. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you agree with me, disagree with me, let me know. I think that they're going to be fine, and I think that the money could work. So make sure to subscribe if you're new. Subscribe to Downtown Sports. His link is in the top comment. And yeah, I appreciate you guys as always. Peace.